Recently, episode 5 of the Digital Circus released. In my previous video, I discussed some of the hidden details and references throughout the episode. There was actually a bunch more that I missed, which I'll discuss in this one, along with some fan submissions. The show's creator, Gooseworks, also explains some things on Twitter, so I'll mention those each time they're relevant. I hope you enjoy. So first up, one gag in the episode is that Gangle didn't get an evil version, instead being replaced by Orbsman. Gooseworks explained why this is the case on Twitter. She said that she thought it would be funny if Gangle was forgotten. One fan asked what she would look like, with Goose responding that she would have a white ribbon and a red mask. Personally, I think that an evil Gangle would be very emotionless or apathetic. Perhaps she hates anime and art as well. Zubul calls a vote that turns Jax into a vegan. Jax is annoyed by this, saying that he thought Kane didn't have the power to do that, before quickly moving on. So in the pilot, Kane says to Pomni that he can't alter the characters' minds. During episode 3, Pomni is possessed. During episode 4, Ragatha starts hallucinating and acts differently because of the stupid sauce. And like I said in episode 5, Jax becomes vegan. On one hand, you could argue that Kane is lying to the cast, maybe to make them feel better. On the other hand, you could argue that he technically can alter their minds, but only does it through the adventures. We never see him alter their minds in the hub area of the circus, so it's probably something that can only happen subconsciously. CJ commented this, but in the bar adventure, Jax made a failed attempt to vote for Zubul to be turned into a slug. This is a reference to the ending of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. The joke where Kane zips up Zubul's lack of a mouth, which doesn't silence them, might be a reference to this as well. At the end of the episode, we see Jax and Pomni walk off because Jax wants to show her something. He mentions that they discussed it before when they were talking at the stadium, but we didn't hear what it was. One fan asked Goose what they went to do. Goose said, "We don't get to know, we missed out on that conversation." This is pretty funny, but I guess it means we won't find out what it was, because it wasn't particularly lore relevant. Credit to DarkArt17. In the beginning, Kane says, "Hello my candy hearts and paper flowers," which is a direct reference to Ragatha and Andy's musical adventure. Ragatha and Jax are based on Raggedy Ann and Andy, and we had another reference to them during episode 4. During the intermission sequence, we see Jax visiting a door of another past abstracted human. Their name is actually Ribbit. This was revealed on Tumblr a while ago, with Goose saying that they were the last human that abstracted before Kaufmo. Ragatha also alluded that Jax's friends abstracted, which is why he acts the way he does. If we combine all of this together, Ribbit was Jax's best friend, and something happened causing them to go insane. If we compare the designs of Ribbit and Pomni, they're quite similar, especially with their rosy cheeks. Originally, Pomni was meant to be a frog called Frogny. If we look at evil Pomni, her colour scheme closely matches that of Kaufmo, who is also a clown. So it makes sense why Pomni is the character that Jax gets on the best with. She reminds him of his previous two abstracted friends. Kane is also known to reuse assets, so perhaps he reused parts of Kaufmo and Ribbit when creating Pomni's design. After Ragatha apologises to Jax, we see the frame glitch for a split second. This is most likely an unintentional error, but it's worth mentioning because I've seen a lot of people theorising that it points towards her potentially abstracting. This was mentioned in a few comments, but when Gangle holds a vote to make Jax wear a maid outfit, Pomni actually votes no, showing her becoming more fond of Jax. On the topic of Jax and his maid outfit, it was drawn by Gooseworks back in 2023. I actually noticed this as well, and so did Aaliyah in the comments of my previous video. But Jax's eyelashes reminded me a lot of his original design. For those who don't know, originally Jax was a girl while Pomni was a boy. So I think just like with Frogny earlier, this is another aspect of things that Gooseworks changed about the show, but decided to incorporate into the lore, which is really neat. Jax suits his eyelashes. A fan theory floating around after episode 4 was that Ragatha was actually rich when she was a human. This theory ended up being canon when Ragatha talked about her backstory, so congratulations if you believe that theory. Ragatha even orders a Cosmopolitan, which is a drink associated with sophistication and glamour. At the start of the episode, Gangle's mask is broken, and Kane fixed it for her, which is pretty cute. A couple people mentioned this, like Zayton's Sketch Life and Ocean Fragments, but Jax pretty clearly has traits of a cat. He's scared of corn, which is a reference to cats being afraid of cucumbers and jumping. He hates being stuffed into fancy clothes, apparently likes meat, and suggests his mother made meat the same way he did, by hunting it and eating it raw. He gets on all fours to bite and maul evil Jax, and the thing he likes to mess around with the most is a literal living ribbon. During the bar scene, Jax makes up a fake backstory, and this backstory that he's referencing is the protagonist Walter White from Breaking Bad. Thanks to Tolstar for this one, but Jax's line, "Did I pick a bad time?" with Kinger under the desk references the Clinton Lewinsky scandal. Basically, Bill Clinton had a relationship with his intern Monica Lewinsky while they were in the White House. Credit to Forks Nerd, when Kane is listing his ideas for the next adventure, they're all references. They go as follows: Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, one of Goose's OCs named General Nausea, A book called A Young Boy and His Dog by Harlan Ellison, who is the same person who wrote I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, which the Digital Circus is directly based off, which I mentioned earlier. Violet Featherwind noticed this. During the episode, Jax mentioned how his ears and tail are the pinnacle of masculinity. He also notices that his tail is missing. Similar to Maid Jax, this is a reference from more doodles from Gooseworks. Back in 2023, Goose drew Jax saying that along with him removing his tail. I mentioned this in the previous video, but during the anime adventure, we see drawings of Mel and a Gaslight District poster along with a symbol from the show. The poster literally translates to Gaslight District reference. Gangle was drawing during that scene. It appears to show art of Ragatha and Tommy kissing. Thanks to Scene Kid Science for this. The anime figure Jax mentions Gangle having is the same one he mentioned in episode 2. Special thanks to Jacoby on Twitter for submitting this, but there's another secret during that scene. In the background we see some books with the numbers 1, 2, 4, 5, 7. They have some spiritual meaning and represent a couple things, hear me out. So seeing the same number patterns over and over can represent certain things. 1 represents new beginnings, independence and assertiveness. 2 is balance, harmony and cooperation. 4 symbolizes stability, hard work and practicality. The number 5 represents freedom, versatility and adventure. And lastly 7 represents spiritual awakening, introspection and inner wisdom. If we take a step back from what I just said, these numbers correlate with each episode. Episode 1 represents new beginnings. Episode 2 is balance and cooperation. Episode 4 is stability and hard work. And episode 5 is adventure and versatility. So this means that episode 7 will then focus on spiritual awakening and inner wisdom. Gooseworks has said that episode 6 is when things will start to take a dark turn, and that 5 was the silly before the storm. It makes so much sense. I think 7 is when the game will start to fall apart. The cast will start to learn more about what's going on around them, and the AIs like Kane and Bubble will go crazy, which is pretty terrifying. We're already starting to see this, with Bubble clearly becoming more sexual and Kane himself becoming more violent and gory. I think this is my favourite theory so far, and I might do a dedicated video on it. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. I touched on this briefly during my previous video, but there's plenty of ads around the Stadium Adventure. Most of them are direct references to brands or products, and you guys spotted some more that I missed, like the Gloink Depot referencing Home Depot, Hungry Jax referencing Hungry Jax. Task Corp is also a clear tribute to Glitch's old series Meta Runner. My personal favourite has to be Gator Goo, being a clear reference to Gatorade, but also featuring the tagline "It's all you're thirsting for," referencing the popularity of Gummy Goo. And lastly, during the episode, Disappearing Guy briefly starts to sing the American national anthem. If you swap the various different dubs, they use a different national anthem based on the language. Here's a couple compiled by Andy KitKat on Twitter.
Bayang Indonesia Inasaluku Rasi Czerwono.
So that's all of the secrets and references myself and a lot of viewers noticed in episode 5 of the Amazing Digital Circus. If there's any of these you'd like me to make dedicated theory videos on, or perhaps as shorts as well, feel free to let me know. And of course, if there's anything I missed, comment those as well. Like always, thanks for watching.